We're going to take a couple minutes here and talk about Ohm's law, which is how we relate voltage, current, and resistance. So Ohm's law, like I said, it explains the relationship between voltage, current, and resistance. And Ohm's law is typically presented as V equals I times R. Now, of course, you can rearrange this to solve for any of the individual pieces. So if you wanted I, that would equal V over R. If you wanted R, that would be equal to V over I. So what this means is if I have some component, so say I've got a resistor, and if I know that there's a voltage difference in this between these 2 points, so technically these are all delta V's, but we kind of skim past this. A voltage difference there, I know that there's some current flowing through, and I know the resistance of the resistor, or actually if I know two of these three, I can find the third. So as an example, a 9-volt battery is connected to a resistor with a resistance of 4.5 ohms. How much current flows through the circuit? So again, we're going to have a battery that's connected up to a resistor. So we'll say R1 is equal to 4.5 ohms. And the battery has a voltage equal to 9 volts. So in this case, because there's only one component in our circuit, the current's going to be the same everywhere because it's not going to pile up anywhere. And we just have to jump into a simple V equals IR. We want to solve for I. So I is equal to V over R, which is equal to 9 volts over 4.5 ohms, which means that we get 2 amps as our current. Again, just from rearranging and plugging things in. A second example, how much voltage is required to push a current of 3 amps across a 2 ohm resistor? Well, let's draw that here. So we know that R is equal to 2 ohms, and we know that there's a current of 3 amps. So the question is, what is the change in voltage, or what's the voltage drop in this resistor? Because that tells us how hard we have to push, right? If it's going to use up 6 volts to move it across here, then we have to push that hard. And I've actually inadvertently spoiled the answer just by throwing out a random number. But we see that if I calculate that, I get 3 amps times 2 ohms, which gives me 6 volts as my voltage. So that's the basics for Ohm's law. As we use it more and more, you'll get really comfortable with it. But let me know if you have any questions at this point.